Capricorn, welcome. It's Erin Scott here with your monthly alchemy scope. And we are doing an art channeling this month to bring forward form, symbol, picture. And this is going to be done with gouache this month. It's a little bit, you can see it's been used, the bowl has been used. But we are going to go ahead and start to tap in. What we're doing is we're tapping into the natural evolutionary growth arc for the Capricorn ego. Okay, so what is it that's activated for your growth and evolution over the course of the now? What might be catalyzing that growth? So let's go ahead and see. Let's see what color wants to come forward first for you. Interesting. If you've tuned into any of the other scopes, you'll notice that there's different themes of color. I mean, oftentimes they have a variety of colors, but there'll be a certain theme, a coloration theme to the images, which is, you know, I find fascinating. I do hope that you're all well and navigating this journey. Speaking of journey, I hope that you're navigating it well, you know. What I will say is that this particular new moon cycle, this Pisces new moon cycle, mid-March to mid-April 2018, is now and will continue to feel dynamic because the Sun Moon conjuncted the Chiron placement in Pisces, which was the same exact point where Venus and Mercury conjuncted Chiron 2 weeks before. The theme is healing. The theme for all of us is healing. It's about getting really real. As I've said to the other signs, it's important to note that this particular point, this Chiron placement right now, where the Sun Moon was conjunct and where Venus Mercury were conjunct, it's trine Jupiter in Scorpio. So it's all about getting real, diving into the depths of the darkness within the self that we hold and getting super real. Okay, so be brave. There's nothing to fear. We all hold all the darkness. We all hold all the stories. Our focal point in this body-mind reality is simply it's the focus for the now, but we hold all darkness, we hold all light, we hold everything. We are everything. So there's nothing to fear, nothing to fear. There's everything to own though, because the longer we deny our own darkness, the more resistance there is, the longer it's going to perpetuate. The key to the healing is to own it. That's the irony. You have to own it to release it. So I have a different setup for your paper. So it's kind of pulling a little bit. Let's see. I'll just hold it, I think. So what I'm going to do is just continue to let the symbols come through, and then we'll talk about what's happening here and what it means. It is interesting too, because I don't know what they mean until I start to read it. So you can see that there's like a lot of wiggly lines that you're getting, which I have an idea about. We'll talk about that. It's very interesting. You can see that a lot of your coloration here, Cap, is very warm. It's warm tones, except for the black. But yet it doesn't feel warm. It feels stark. So let's start talking about it. And then there might be more stuff that wants to come through. So what I'm getting, again, this is for your transitory cycle. Let me check the camera here. Yeah, it's okay. The cycle for you, again, mid-March 2018 to mid-April, the wounding, because really this is imbued with the Chiron archetype of healing. So what is activated for a predominance of the Capricorn archetype for its growth might have to do with starkness. This is what I'm getting. Now, you're going to feel into your own interpretation, and I really encourage you to do that because you have your own specific Capricornian narrative. But on the general, what I'm getting is a starkness. That there's this mountain in the background, but it's kind of treeless. It's just, you know, soil, really, rock and soil. These squiggly lines to me, there's a pattern to them, meaning they're all kind of going the same way. But the squiggle kind of talks about the back and forth of life. It's almost like the minutia, the tedious nature, the past, the present, you know, it's like, it might just feel like a lot of tasks, a lot of duties. And it might be stark and, you know, kind of rocky. You know, it might not feel delicious, like rich and sumptuous and joyful. There is, the other thing is there is the sun in the back, but the sun is kind of, it also felt really kind of squiggly to come out. And it also has these kind of, let's say, big, thick, horizontal kind of lines coming out here, coming out here. There's like two of them. And it almost looks like Saturn. Now, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, okay? So you're very Saturnian just in your makeup. It's natural to you. There is this kind of Saturnian aspect to, meaning serious, responsibility-oriented, task-oriented, goal-oriented, wanting to mature and get things manifested and honed and done and completed and checked off the list. To the joy in your life, there's almost this Saturnian rigidity, dominance. There's a need for mastery. There's a push. And because of that, up at the top, again, the top of the image that I say again because I've said it in some of the other readings is, when we're looking at the top, especially if it is the sky in the background, which this definitely is, we're talking about the etheric realm, the mental realm, the air realm. This is the field of consciousness. It's your mind. So for me, your mind might have some joy, because it's yellow, about some tasks that you have to do, but it felt very forced. Like the whole thing with the sun, it wasn't joyful. It wasn't like a soft circle that was emanating light. It's like it was very determined, you know, this is going to be the way it is. So what I want to say to the Capricorns out there that are going through this particular growth cycle for this month, you might be outside of your joy. Yellow is also third chakra, which is your will, your willpower. So you might be forcing things to happen, but I don't know. In the background, underneath that, really, what you feel is, you know what, this is just a lot of stuff. Here there's this pink-red cascade in the front, which almost looks like, let's say, fields. Like if we're looking at a scene of a sun in the back, the mountains in the foreground, and then in the front, in the very front, you see kind of fields or something. But it's red or pink and cascading, which is beautiful. There's something kind of, let's say, moving. There's vital energy moving. There's activity moving. Red is energy. So there's something moving, and there is organization to it because there are these lines. Within that, there are these, let's say, black, gray, again, squiggles. Did you notice that there's still squiggles? So it's like minutia, minutia, minutia. And what I get with that is that there's just a grief there's grief, there's a sadness, there's something not tapping into your joy the way it wants to be tapped. Thus, the growth edge for Capricorn over the course of the cycle is to tap the joy. Okay? Because it might be that you have to lighten up. There might be just too much seriousness at hand here, you know, that is out of balance. That's what I'm getting. And the thing here, this is a big mountain. It takes up, let's say, certainly a third of the page. Okay, but this thing about this stark treeless mountain is you might see goals for yourself. You might have some high aspiration, but it might be a little dry, without the juice, without your passion, and that is not, I repeat, not what you're here to do. You might still be tapping into societal norms. Okay, and what I want to say is, let that be the growth edge for you. So if you're starting to notice that your passions are not ignited, you're not accessing your juice, you're not accessing the pure emanation of your creative joy that lives within you, then guess what? That's the growth edge. Okay? Now, Cap, let me take a look at my camera. Let me go ahead and I am going to pull a card from the Carolyn Mace archetype cards, and by doing that, we're tapping into what is a core or a foundational or a primary growth edge for you over the course of this time frame, all right? This particular month. This is all transient energy, by the way, but you're going to notice that these pushes of growth, these arcs of your evolution, they're layered upon one another, always. That's how life works. Life is intelligently organized. Always. So there are layers to your growth and evolution. This particular growth edge of notice the dryness, notice that there might be some joy lacking, notice that there are some in the organization of your life and your planning and the goals that you have, there's some grief, there's some sadness, there's some lack. Okay? So let's take a look at what the prime growth edge is for your now. For Cap. Wow, Queen. Let me see if you can see that. Yeah. Queen, Cap. So what wants to be evolved out of is becoming arrogant when authority is challenged, being controlling and demanding. Okay? Now what I want to point out with this image is, yes, Saturnian sun, meaning the emanation of your joy is Saturnian in its nature over the course of this time frame. It has these rings around it, these lines binding it. It's haphazard in the middle, but it's bound. So there's some non-stability there, non-ease, non-grace, non-joy. It's tense. There's a tenseness to that. Queen is saying, indeed, there can be a controlling and a demanding nature when it's in its devolved state. What wants to be evolved through you over the course of the cycle is radiating the regal feminine, using benevolent authority to protect others. Okay? Really good, Cap. Really good. Because the thing is, your organizational capacity, your skill set of the ability to organize and create systems, to actually create manifest form and create manifest systems that are based not in hyper-dominance and control mechanisms, but are based in benevolence and nurturance, you better believe that's the way forward. So that could be part of what's activated for you this month. I send you much love. For those interested in learning about the breadth of my holosynthesis work and really getting clear on their soul print stories, their mastery trajectories, the wound sets that are calling to be grown and freed from, please be in contact. It's the time. It really is. The Alchemy of Holism.com is my website, and you're welcome to visit me anytime there. Until next month, I am sending you so much love and support. Much love. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.